Lights, camera,
Rolling.
action.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Let Me Be Frank, a podcast about movies. It's nice for y'all to be back again. Thank you for giving me your most precious commodity, which is your time. As you can probably tell by the sound of my voice, today is going to be the Under the Weather edition. I was flying recently, ended up getting sick, and I'm still fighting it off. Lack of energy, all that stuff. So we're not going to waste too much time today. We're going to get right into it. The movie we're covering today, I've been waiting a very long time to see. It just hasn't been available for me to watch it. It is 2015's Talk to Me. It is an A24, which we've covered, I believe, one of their movies before. But if you're not familiar with A24, they do psychological horror. Their movies typically don't have a whole lot of blood, a whole lot of jump scares. They mostly try to get more cerebral. Their films are typically a bit more creative. If you've seen the movie Terrifier, you'll understand what I mean when I say that their movies are a bit more cerebral. Terrifier, if you don't know what it is, it's about Art the Clown, and pretty much there's just buckets of blood everywhere. I haven't seen the second, so I don't know if they added more of a storyline, but I saw the first one and it had virtually no storyline besides one location people kept filtering in. He kept killing them, no rhyme, no reason. A24 isn't that. They're responsible for movies like Hereditary. And this one, just seeing the concept in the trailer made me very interested. It just, like I said, wasn't available for me to watch. So I was on the plane. It was there. So it was a like almost 6 hour flight. So I got a chance to actually watch it. So today we're covering Talk to Me, and we're going to get into it right about now. Guy is walking through a party looking for someone named Duckett. This guy seems to be in a bit of a panic. He's frantically kind of moving from room to room. We find out his name is Cole, and seems that his mom is making food for the party. Duckett and Cole are brothers. We find that out as he's walking through the party. Duckett won't open the door, so Cole has to break it down. He has scars all over his body. This dude is just slicing himself up, and I'm talking about Duckett, not Cole. Cole is still panicking, trying to find Duckett. They both walk in the kitchen, and Cole is telling everyone to put their phones away. I believe that this is a bit of a social commentary as to how we pull our phones out when people are fighting or arguing or something crazy is happening. Instead of anybody intervening to try and help, everybody literally just took their phones out and starts recording. The bystander effect, I believe they call it. So he turns away and he's telling everybody to put your fucking phones away. We need help. And when he turns around, Duckett stabs Cole right in the stomach. The crowd starts to scatter. Duckett then stabs himself in the forehead. Yep, right through the frontal fucking lobe. And that's when you get the title screen, Talk to Me. So after seeing that, this movie now had my undivided attention. Mia, our main character, is a college student who seems to be almost done with school. She has this weird encounter with her dad. He says something to her while her back is turned and he's in the background, and she seems like she almost just doesn't even want to talk to him. She gets a phone call. Next, we cut to two boys sitting on the curb, talking and smoking a cigarette. Mia picks one of the boys up and offers the other one a ride. The other boy declines because he said someone's coming to get him. So Mia and the boy that she picked up are driving home, just kind of having a good time. And she hits a kangaroo. Now, just in case you've never seen this movie, you've never heard of it, this movie takes place in Australia. I don't know if you picked up on them hitting a kangaroo, but they weren't driving through a zoo here in America. They are in Australia. They both show a lot of empathy for this animal. because it's laying on the ground. You can hear it crying. So the young man in the car with Mia, his name is Riley, and his sister forgot to pick him up, which is why he called Mia to come and pick him up. So after this very awkward moment between Mia and Riley after hitting the kangaroo, they then head over to Riley's house where his sister is laying on her bed, chit chatting on her phone, and Riley smacks the fuck out of her with a pillow. She had forgotten to pick him up because she put him on mute. She muted all his phone calls. Mia talks to Jade, that's her name, about the dying kangaroo. Mia and Jade watch this video of this girl who looks like she's being possessed. Not completely sure why you would want to film someone who looks like they're being possessed, but it looks like it's at a party. There's a lot of people around, and everybody's kind of oohing and eyeing as to what's happening. Jade doesn't want to go out. Jade wants to stay home. She wants to chit chat with her boyfriend on the phone, but Mia is very insistent that they go out because Mia wants to experience whatever she saw in the video. She's interested. She wants to figure out why and how it's happening. Mia then reveals that it is her Remembrance Day, which I'm assuming is the anniversary of someone's death in Australia. Here in America, we I think we just call it an anniversary. I've never heard anybody refer to it as a Remembrance Day, but Mia's mom is dead. Jade just wants to stay home and chill, but peer pressure's a bitch. So Jade and Mia go out. Riley and Jade's mother comes home, and Mia reveals that she doesn't like being around her dad because he is depressing. Mia, Riley, and Jade go to the party. People don't really seem to want Mia around. There's very weird vibes from everybody, especially this one young lady in particular. Daniel showed up, who is Jade's boyfriend. So mind you, there's going to be a lot of names in this. It's kind of like one core group of friends that's going to be experiencing this. So we're going to keep their names straight because it's very easy to get lost. I had to go back and make sure I got everyone's name correct. So a girl named Haley doesn't like Mia. That's the one I was just referring to. She says that Mia is clingy and accuses her of trying to hook up with Jade's boyfriend, Daniel. And she tells this to Jade. Now the game that Mia wants to play is about to begin. Mia offers to go first. They tie her to a chair, which I'm not doing. They light a candle, which I ain't being a part of, and place a hand statue on the table. So the hand statue looks like a mold of someone's hand, pretty much from just above the, I don't know, I would say mid forearm, and the arm is kind of the hand is sticking out as if trying to give you a weird handshake because the fingers are kind of spread, and you're able to kind of grip it. Haley tells Mia to grab it, and everyone pulls out their phones immediately. Watching from Mia's perspective, I would be creeped out if I could imagine musicians and comedians and stuff feel like this. As soon as they walk onto stage, all of a sudden, instead of people looking up at you and everybody just kind of staring at you, which is kind of expected, everybody pulls out their phone in unison. It's fucking creepy. Mia grabs the hand and says, "Talk to me." She looks around and sees an old dead guy sitting in front of her. That is one of our first kind of jump scares of the film. So just be cautious if you don't like jump scares because it's going to come at you like Cleopatra. She freaks out while everyone is laughing. She's really freaking out. What the fuck am I looking at? And everybody's just giggling. Haley tells her she didn't do it right and gives her something else to say. The kids egg Mia on. She eventually does it. And this time she completes the phase. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to grab the hand and say, "Talk to me." You're going to see something in front of you. And once you see it, you're supposed to say, "I let you in." And then you go through this thing that we don't get to see. We don't get to see what happens. We don't see the vision that the person sees. We just see them reacting and looking like they're in a lot of pain, and everybody just kind of stands around, laughing, filming. The key is you have to be brought back from wherever you go within 90 seconds. Nobody knows right now what happens when you surpass the 90 seconds. But that was one of the very hard rules. Mia doesn't come back the same. She's doing weird stuff and these kids don't seem phased except for Jade and Riley. Mia scares the hell out of Riley, but she doesn't know it because she's possessed. So whatever this thing took over and was saying to Riley fucking panicked him. Mia and Riley have a conversation about what the hand felt like. Then he abruptly brings up Mia's mom's death. Like, no tact whatsoever. That's like we're talking about how good onion rings are. And, you're like, oh, yeah, I love onion rings. I'm like, yeah, me too. By the way, I heard your dad was shot in the face. How'd that make you feel? Like, that's how abrupt it was. Like, no real person would ever do that. So, moving on, they convince Haley to bring the hand to Jade's house for another party after Jade's mom leaves for work. We don't know how Haley got the hand, so nobody knows where the hand came from. She vaguely says that someone gave it to her, and she just kind of quickly moves past it. Daniel uses the hand this time. Now, something we got to know about Daniel. Daniel is extremely religious. His family is extremely religious. So, when he gets possessed by whatever is going on, he gets possessed and he starts insulting the fuck out of Jade. Like, he is roasting her. Whatever thing is in him is saying that she makes him soft, and the only person he gets hard for is Mia, which he says in front of a whole bunch of people. Obviously, Jade is not having it. Then, all right, so he starts to make out with the family dog, Jade's family dog. And when I mean make out, like, I know people let their dog lick their face, which is not something that I do, but he reciprocated. It was fucking gross. He starts dry humping the floor. Everything he's doing is very sexual. Just don't worry. That's the extent of Daniel's experience. After they bring him back, he runs out the room, and Mia wants another turn. Then they do a montage of all of them taking turns over and over and over again. The only person we don't really see is Jade or Riley. Riley still hasn't done it. Jade hasn't done it. But everybody else at the party, I would say there's about 5 to 8 of them, and they're all just taking turns, and this shit goes on for a minute, and I'm just like, are you not tired? Like, because when Mia did it the first time, she talked about how great she felt, which you do not get that impression when you're actually watching them take turns. Now, the montage ends, and Riley wants a turn. He and Jade get into a huge argument. Since they're brother and sister, they say some harsh ass shit to each other. So after Jade leaves the room, the rest of the group, decide to only give Riley 50 seconds because he is younger than them. I would say he looks about to be like 13, 14. Everybody else is like 17 going on 18. Now, here's where shit goes way left. Riley gets possessed, and it turns out that it's Mia's mom. Riley begins to self-harm. He tries to pull his own eye out, but then they try to pull the hand away from him. But whatever entity has taken over Riley kind of throws everybody else away and pulls him away from everyone else. Now everybody's just kind of standing there really, really stunned because this has never happened before. Normally they just grab the hand, they separate the two, and blow out the candle, and it's over. The person comes back, they get to have their couple of yucks, their laughs, and the next person gets ready for their turn. Jade comes back in the room in time to stop him from killing himself. Riley begins to bang his face on the edge of a dresser. And when I tell you this scene was fucking brutal, There is no CGI in this part. Like, I don't know how they did it. The practical effects were just brutal to watch. I mean, every hit, there was more and more damage. It was, like I said, A24 doesn't usually jump into like the shock, blood, gruesome injury, but this was fucking raw. I mean, man, I felt it. Just the sound effects, the way it looked fucking painful and brutal. Mia kind of goes numb and walks out as everybody, Haley and the others, are trying to figure out what to do because now Riley needs an ambulance or he's gonna fucking die. Mia goes into the bathroom to wash her hands off. Obviously, the cops show up because now you have to call the ambulance and they're gonna see this kid's face is just fucking mangled. After promising her mom that she was not going to have a party, she wasn't going to have friends over, Jade now has to call her mom and tell her that her youngest son is going to the hospital and now has to fight for his life. And obviously, no one's going to tell her the full truth about what they were doing. So they make up some bullshit story. Mia goes home and somehow she stole the hand. Like, what the fuck? Now you're going to do this shit by yourself because she's obsessed with thinking that she can talk to her mom again. Mia shows up at the hospital and everyone is mad at her. By the way, this part was a bit annoying because everybody seems to be blaming Mia, even Jade, even though Jade agreed to almost all of this. The only thing she didn't agree to was having Riley do it. But if this would have happened to anyone else, if anybody else would have been bashing their face, it still would have been a huge part on Jade's fault because it's her house. She allowed this shit to go down. She has the connection between Haley and Mia because Haley doesn't like Mia. She doesn't want to be around her. She doesn't care for her. All of this happened because Jade allowed it. But Jade and her mom are both pointing the finger at Mia, which I thought was bullshit. But Daniel arrives at the hospital to give Mia a ride home. They end up spending the night together. Very problematic. She has a dream about them hooking up, then it turns into a nightmare with Daniel ending up and leaving. Mia then uses the hand alone. She makes contact with her mother. We cut back to Riley, Jade, and their mom. Her mom's name is Sue, and Sue leaves Jade to tend to Riley, and then he starts self-harming again. The scene cuts back to Mia, Haley, Joss, who is the other person involved with the hand. He doesn't really play a huge role in anything. Jade and Daniel and Joss tell how they got the hand, which is a very vague story. It's almost like Hagrid in Harry Potter when you ask him how he got a dragon and he says he won it from a guy in a poker game. They come up with a way to get Riley back. Mia has to go in again to try and save Riley. It doesn't work, obviously. Mia's dad reads Mia's mom's suicide note. Mia is being told by her mother that her dad is lying because that is not her dad. She then goes off to get herself some space and is attacked by a version of her dad. While her real dad sits in the living room holding the hand, Mia cries out for her dad and he runs in the room to rescue her, but gets stabbed in the neck. Yeah, Mia just plunged a fucking knife into her own dad's neck. Mia then goes to the hospital to try and save Daniel because the spirits are telling her to kill him. She abducts Riley from the hospital and takes him to a highway to kill him. One of the demons says to do it so they can keep him forever, which tells her it's a trick, so she kills herself instead of Riley. She then appears in the hospital as Riley and his family are leaving. So we're fast forwarding through some things. Riley, Jade, and Sue, mom, are leaving the hospital. He's still limping. He's still battered and beaten. All this crazy shit still happening. And Mia is calling out to them, but no one's responding. She sees her dad. She's calling out to him. No, he's not responding. As she runs through the hospital, the lights around her start to cut out. So at first we thought, she's just having this weird vision. She's been hit by a car. So we don't completely know what's going on with her. She tried to catch her dad, but no one can hear her. The lights shut down around her, and she appears across the table, holding someone's hand, with a bunch of people staring at her. She is now a part of the hand. The guy says, "I let you in," and she possesses him, and the movie cuts to black. And this is one of those sad endings where she was fighting so hard to try and put things right and to keep Riley from being tortured forever, because that's what the voices kept telling her, like, hey, we're gonna keep him and we're just gonna be fucking him up forever. She is losing her mind trying to save Riley. In the process, she sacrifices herself and becomes a part of the hand. I mean, the scene leading up to her holding the hand kind of gets really crazy, because as she's calling out to everyone, no one's responding. Everything around her is cutting off. It becomes a very, very chaotic situation. And all of a sudden, she just, with all the scars and everything on her face, she just pops up in front of this guy. And everybody around him is laughing because he's freaking out. Like, who the fuck is this? Who is this person? Obviously, no one can see her. And when he says, "I let you in," we still don't know what that person who says, "I let you in," feels. All we know, and we don't even know what they see, all we know is that they become possessed by the other person. This movie was actually really good. I skipped over some things just to, as usual, just to give you some things to discover when you actually go and watch the movie. I highly, highly recommend this one. I give this one 4 porcelain hands out of 5. The nice thing, one of the other nice things is it's shot very well. It has a really good soundtrack. All the actors in it are very good. The tone of the movie is very ominous, especially once you start to get into the meat of the story. They never run off and leave you behind. They're not too artsy for their own good. Skinamarink for me was kind of like that. It was just way too, I couldn't get into the style of horror that they were trying to produce. This film was very good. It was well worth the wait. I enjoyed it. I was locked in the whole time. At times, I even forgot to take notes. I would have to rewind it to notate certain things that were happening because I was so engrossed in the story and wanted to see where they were going to go and how she was going to get them out of this. So I give Talk to Me a very high rating. I very much highly recommend this one. I believe it is available on Showtime if you have either Showtime on demand or if you want to get the subscription through Paramount Plus. I just happened to get to see it for free on a plane since I was already flying. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we are going to end today's episode. I want to thank you for being here. Sorry for such a short episode, but I'm still not feeling well. I have a whole layout plan for where this podcast is going to go. We got a lot of movies to cover. One of my favorite genres is horror. I believe I said that in the last episode or the episode before. I love horror. I got some great stuff planned for Halloween. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and crawl back into my bed. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for giving me your time. Next week is going to be action-packed. Next week is going to be a long one. So thank you. Have a good week, everybody.